Welcome, everybody, to this episode of Soulful Sessions, another cosmic forecast for the month of March with the one and only Madelaine Parker. Hi, Madelaine.
Hi, everybody. How's it going? Nice to see you again.
Yes, it is awesome to have you. And I'm super excited to talk about the month of March. And Madelaine and I were talking a little bit before recording, and we're discussing how February felt so incredibly heavy. It was
Buddy.
a really challenging month for so many people. I can raise my hand personally on that. It was definitely a month of some very deep introspection. We had Mercury in retrograde for one. Most people kind of know what that's about and what that energy is. And really a time of reevaluation and reviewing and restoring ourselves. Like I've felt really, really tired and drained. So March, from what Madelaine has shared with me ever so briefly before we began recording today, is going to feel a whole lot lighter. And there's going to be a little bit more of a sensual nature to the month, which is super fun. So maybe we'll start there with.
Can I share the screen? Do we want to do that or?
Sure, we can. Yeah, we could take a peek. For those who are viewing this in the video format, we're going to show the aspects of what is going on right now, starting with March 1st.
Yeah. So look at all that. Everybody can see this cluster, the top right corner of the chart up here. That's the Aquarium stellium that we've just gone through. And in March, it's going to sort of open up. And we've got Pisces in its exaltation in the sign of Pisces. Sorry, we have Venus in its exaltation in the sign of Pisces with the sun there. There will be some combustion of Venus when Venus catches up to the sun. But most of the month we have Venus in exaltation, which means she's in her high power, she's in her glory, she's at the top of the chart here. Well, it depends on where you are, but where I am, it's showing top of the chart. And so we're getting a very, whenever you get a planet in its exaltation, the more you operate in the light aspect of that planet, the more you're going to experience flow and benefics. And Venus represents love, relationships, finances, pleasure, beauty, the arts. And so you're going to find, and money. So this is going to be a nice period in March with Venus in exaltation. When Venus goes into combustion, her powers are dimmed, and the sun is more powerful. But most of the month, she's going to be almost in equal power to the sun. So, and then we've got all these planets still in Aquarius. We've got Saturn, Mercury, Jupiter. Jupiter's still in the sign of Aquarius. We have Pluto in Capricorn, 26 degrees Capricorn, which causes, it will go in retrograde soon. So in the sign of Capricorn with Pluto still there, we are still clearing karma in how we operate. In other words, Capricorn is control, using power, control, fear-based, clearing our fears around government, control, power, status, following the grid. We could go on that. I don't want to get too distracted on that. But anyway, and then we have this Uranus squaring, Uranus is squaring Saturn here. You see that red line going right into Saturn. So that could be, again, shakeups in government that finances, Taurus's finances for the people. We've already had that happen in February. So
Right.
we're going to see shakeups in the establishment for financials for the people. Things are going to become better financially, I think, for a lot of people. There might be some resistance, but this is strong because we've got Saturn in the sign of Aquarius anyway. So whatever restrictions Saturn wants to, well, let's say the old has a hold on the way things are, and sort of maybe a controlling aspect to it is going to become liberated because of Mars and Taurus. Well, Mars will change into Gemini, but towards the month, as the month progresses, conjuncting the North Node, which will be good. But we have this causing a shakeup in the financial world, also possibly earthquakes, remember, because that's also the ground, causing shift the old status. It's going to have to change. There's going to be change, forced change on the established ways in support of the mass. Things are going to start shifting.
And this has been an aspect that's been at play for a little while. So this is not anything new. This is just the continuation of the story in a sense.
Basically, what we're looking at is progression of all the energies of Aquarius, which is the people, the audience, social media, technologies are going to advance because we have Jupiter there in the 9th house. Well, actually, I'm sorry, that depends on where, that's in my own personal house.
Yeah.
but so what you're looking at is shake up to release resistance of the expansion. So like, let's say you have a lot of new plants growing, the old trees that aren't providing oxygen anymore because they're dying and they're dead are shading the light from the new seeds. So they got to come down so that the new seeds can come up. And so what you're going to see is the Aquarian, which is the people and the technologies, setting themselves free from restrictions of the Saturn. Now, some people think the government will cause more restrictions, which they will, but they'll do what they can just because, you know, slightly corrupt, but also because it's the nature of Saturn to try to keep things as they are. And the evolution comes when if it can win against Saturn, then it wins. It's earned its stable post. That makes sense. So in other words, you're going to have this change occurring, but it's going to have to pass through Saturn, which means Saturn is the materializer. It's the structure. So there will be some degree of Saturn structure you're going to have to maintain because otherwise it can't ground. Does that make sense?
I'm not totally sure. So let me see if I can repeat it back to you what I'm understanding. So there's a shakeup that's occurring currently, and in order for it to kind of be ground into the current reality, or the not too far in the distant future reality, right, there will be some structure that must remain, but things will shift and things will ultimately shift and change. I mean, that's just part of the process.
So what's happening is Uranus in the sign of Taurus is pressuring Saturn, which is the established grid, government, your father, all things Saturn, your status, public recognition. So the public, and plus we got Pluto in that Capricorn, which is going to kind of reveal secrets, corruptions involved, right? So what you're seeing is the finance pressure on Saturn from the people is going to break Saturn because there's too much power in Aquarius there. Saturn normally you would think would win over Uranus, but the outer planets are always strongest. So Uranus in Taurus, financial changes strong in order to reestablish a new structure which is supportive of the progression of the people, which will happen on a very massive scale. So it's too much pressure for the old ways. Okay. They'll cave in. So there's going to be financial advancements that emancipates people financially, because the astrology is supporting the people more than the grid. So the more that people know that, the more this is a good time to take independent, smaller businesses. This is the time, actually. Before, the government's always taking all the money out of smaller businesses. It's really hard to run a small business. You got to pay everything up, the yin yang. Yeah. But now you're going to find a financial pressure from the people, because actually the people are the power. Truth is they are, because there's more, and the people, the people are the actual currency. People have been tricked into thinking the government holds all your financial limitations and your potentials, and but really the people, the working energy, that the labor force is the true currency. The energy of the human life force is the true currency. So when we wake up to that, the government then has to serve that currency. And so that's the shift that's going to happen. You're going to get a government that's going to give in to the financial pressures and the advancements that are happening via the humans, people being more empowered through social media. So does that make sense?
I think so. Well, maybe let's keep the conversation going, and we'll see if,
all right,
as we keep talking, if at all, like we paint a picture for the month as a whole, because
basically it's okay to be courageous and step forward and take risks and take your business as an independent, and not worry about whether you get benefits or whether you're in corporate grid. Okay, so in other words, this is the time for the independent, that you wake up to your own energy field as being your abundant source. So you don't have to be connected to a grid to be abundant.
Well, and I guess the other part of that I that it seems to me that is another aspect is the and no pun intended aspect
right.
is so what I'm hearing you say about this is that for someone who has really has this dream inside of them, this desire inside of them to embark on a solo endeavor, whatever that may be, now is the time to do that. You don't need to feel like you have to be connected in. And I think we talked about that last month too. Like this is kind of the continuation of that energy. I believe you gave like a financial person, a stockbroker or an example of that where you worked with a firm and then now you can go and do that on your own. You don't need to be connected to a firm. You can, go solo. Right. So it seems like it's just that same flowing energy once again. Is that wrapping up this month, or is that
progressing more so?
Okay, so people are gonna feel that push, that drive even more now.
Yes, you're gonna feel more, you're gonna see the potential of the abundance that you're gonna be able to see how you can shift to a self-sufficient way of being abundant through social media. So in other words, you're going to become more aware that you can be financially self-sustained. The independence of that Virgo full moon, she's a financially independent feminine. So you're going to become aware that it's safe to take that path. So in other words, you're going to start seeing more universal support, abundant materializations. Things are going to start going forward. All the planets are in direct motion. We don't have so much combustion. The sun was causing all these planets to be invisible now. So in March, they're going to be more visible. So it's like we're going to see more progression. We're going to see that we can do it,
Which is great. I mean, I think that's something that we're all looking forward to, is to feel that forward momentum again and to feel like things are progressing, to use your word, because I believe, at least in my world, it's felt very stuck. There is a drive, there is a motivation, but it's almost like you're like in mud, and I want to move forward, but it's really hard. Really
we don't have any fire, no planets in fire right now. So when there's no planets in fire, we're very introspective. We're, air sign is in action. It's more headspace. And so it's like, we're just in our headspace, kind of introspective.
That for sure. That makes complete sense. What about now? I know you would mention that all planets except the North Node, and some people would debate if that was even a planet, are going direct. So what does that mean for people?
Again, the same message that we will experience more things, you know, the question I have, which is why I was pulling a card here a minute ago, was
Okay.
like, how rapid are things going? Or is it slow? Like, is it progression, energy? Wheel of Fortune. So are we going to be, interesting cards popping up. That's Exalted Venus. I just got Union cards. Don't forget, we got to talk about Exalted Venus.
Oh
So
yeah. Okay.
what am I seeing right now for the energies of March as far as speed at which we are traveling? Gosh, I can't get this out of the picture.
Yeah, the Wheel of Fortune just does not.
There you go. That's abundant.
Yeah.
That is abundant. And then higher calling, abundance, progression, financial forward. Right? So I think like we're really looking at there. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. World card. This is twin flame union card, but also that represents inner energetic union. So really we've had that downtime to become inner aligned energetically, right? And now we really are, because of that, where all those planets are. If I go back to that chart, we have everything up here, which is really out in the world. You know, this is not like, look, there's no planets at the bottom of the chart, right? So,
Well, so when you say inner alignment, what really struck me was it's almost like there's an alignment within each of us.
right.
We are aligning to what it is that we really are meant to do and what we would like to do in our life. And now is the time we're being pushed by the Saturn and Uranus square to, it's, you know, the other thing in my head was the image of giving birth, because you're almost giving birth. There's like this tension.
Giving birth right there.
Yeah, so it's, and it can be very uncomfortable, and it can, you know, you do feel tired. I mean, having given birth 4 times, I know, like by the end of it,
Had 4 kids.
yeah. So by the end of your pregnancy, you're freaking exhausted. I mean, your body is barely moving. Everything is difficult. So I would say it feels very similar from the way you're describing this energy to that. It's like, you know, we've taken this time to nurture and to grow this idea inside of us to really come to, you know, come, like you said, come into union, align with that, and have you know, create something new. I'm having trouble with my words here. But now,
you're in shadow, so it's a little bit foggy still, you know,
yeah. So everyone will have to forgive us if we're stumbling over our words a little bit. And, you know, maybe that was why, Madelaine, earlier you were communicating the energy and what was going on, and I'm like, my brain couldn't process it. Yeah, so I think, you know, my hope is that when people listen to this later, the forward movement of Mercury, and they're going to be in the zone, and they're going to understand everything that we're saying, even though we may not.
You know, when I look at the chart, when I do astrology, you're really throwing puzzle pieces together, and you're not focused on whether people can understand what you're saying. You're just focused on trying to get that piece of information together. So, you know, I'm glad. That's why it's good to have conversations like this, because you can go, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah, and I think it's helpful for, you know, I think for both of us, you know, when you and I can talk about this, and then others are listening into this, and, you know, there will be little bits and pieces that really resonate with folks based on something you say or something I say, or maybe a combination of the two, where it's like light moment, you know, that, you know, light bulb moment of, oh my gosh, that I totally understand what that means. And now I know going forward, this is what I can do in order to bring this to life, or bring this into my life. So that's really
I have to tell you that you said that at 11:11. I'm in Standard Pacific time, and it's 11:11 right now. And you just were talking about waking up at 11:11, which is
that's beautiful. That's a beautiful synergy right there.
Yeah.
Synchronicity. Very, very cool. All right, so let's see what else. So we're talking about the planets being direct. You know, the 3 planets in Aquarius. So Saturn, Mercury, and Jupiter, I believe, from what you shared with me earlier, are in Aquarius. So, and they've been in Aquarius for a bit as well, correct?
Yep, and Saturn will continue to stay in Aquarius for another 2 years, most likely, maybe more, if there's retrograde. And then we've got Jupiter is actually at the higher end here. Jupiter will probably be in Aquarius the entire month. Most of the planets will stay where they are, except for Mars is going to transgress into Gemini. I don't know if it will conjunct the North Node yet, or whether it will not do that till April, but Mars conjuncting the North Node is an interesting transit to be happening at this time, which will be very much the energy of of drive and motivation and energy into the North Node, which is and the North Node currently in Gemini, seeking more active energy to communicate, to seek higher knowledge, to investigate, to research, because the South Node being in Sagittarius, and you want to know what house that falls in for yourself, is going to be completely letting go of an old belief system. So during that Mars transit, there's going to be a rapid shifting in our belief system, because we're going to become very active to find new information, new solutions, new ideas. We're going to be very motivated to do that. And so something will probably happen that evolves our mentality, almost like that. I want to say that Britney Spears documentary that's just coming out is very, very interesting, because it's very much what we're talking about the shifting of this energy in Saturn, where we were very much more of some sort of subservient to it. Now we're like challenging it. And the Britney Spears video really showed how we let that mentality dominate.
I'm not sure what Britney Spears video you're talking about.
Well, just this one that's come out about how mean the people were to her, and the establishment were to her, and her career, how sort of brutal they were to her. And so it's shifting our mentality around establishments and people in power, and how it's not necessarily ethical. They're not necessarily nice. They don't necessarily treat people well. So we're shifting into a higher belief system around what we deserve, or how people should be treated. So that's the kind of thing we're going to see, where we're really shifting out of it's a real shift. If you think about it, we're really waking up to how we weren't very fair.
Well, I think that could be said too with a lot of the movements recently. That where
Yes.
things have been imbalanced and unfair, and people are beginning to see it and recognize that, and make different choices, or come to different situations with more compassion than once had.
Right. And so then what happens is you're going to see this confidence in people to sort of stand forward and be our own sovereignty more, because we're going to realize we really hold a higher standard, a higher value than we've been holding, and we support now a higher value rather than supporting something that doesn't have a high value. Does that make sense? So people are going to be very assertive to educate themselves, because they're going to see that all we really need is to learn more knowledge about how we can expand ourselves than being rigid to trying to conform within a situation to expand.
Well, it's expansive thinking,
Right.
And then having making our choices from in that informed place, versus the old structure and the old way of thinking and being. It's a new way of thinking and being, and people are opening up to that, expanding into that,
it's sort of like giving up that sense of security that we use the grid for. Like, it's our karma too. So like we are tapping into, say, corporate careers, because we want the security, we want the benefits, we want all that stuff, right? Well, now we're starting to see that we have the power to create that own sense of security in our lives, with our own abundant energy field, with our own resource energy, which is the energy within our own self.
So it's basically not relying on others for our abundance, for our, finding our own alignment. It's really, again, kind of going back to what you said earlier, it's about that alignment within ourselves.
Yeah. And becoming, and realizing that our own energetic balance within us is what causes our abundance. And so now we're going to get this pressure. There's going to be a shift in the power financially. And I know it sounds really too good to be true, but that is the evolution that's happening in the chart, because when the mass starts to wake up to that, they become this workforce on the North Node, which is doing your higher calling. You get very much very powerful universal support. So you'll be able to do it.
And I think the biggest takeaway is that if you're not living your purpose, if you're
Mm-hmm.
not living from that place, you're likely not going to find that things are working out the way you expect them to. Would you say
Yeah,
that's true? I mean,
yes, I think, because I think the established ways are weakening to a new, more independent way of living, higher quality of life. And I think that if you're depending on that system, you may find it rather weak.
mm-hmm.
In these energies, I think that the whole corporate system is weaker and is weakened in these energies with that square in Uranus squaring it. But different astrologers see it differently. Some astrologers think that the Saturn is going to be more restrictive, that they are going to be powerful in a way still, and it's possible. But I just read the way it looks to me.
Well, so what about Venus and Pisces? You mentioned that
Well,
was exalted.
yes, you see, that's a really beautiful thing, because Venus is finances, and an exalted Venus means it's a really nice boost of the financial energies. So to have that exalted Venus during the same time that we have Mars, we have um, Taurus is ruled by Venus, right? So Venus, we've got Taurus in the sign of Venus. Uranus in the sign of Venus, squaring Saturn. Um, well, Venus isn't going to be squaring Saturn, but Venus is sort of up there in a really strong light, sort of like leading the way. So it's like what makes you happy is going to be very loud and prominent in your life. So you're gonna be more wanting to. You're gonna feel more confident to. It's exalted, so you have light in it. You feel confident to do it. So it's like you're going to shift more into doing what you really want, being with who you really want, um, because it's going to flow. Does that make sense?
So that's just pushing. So that's pushing you even more to tune into what is in alignment for you, surrounding yourself with the people that are, meant to be in your life, that you have this loving relationship with, where life can flow.
Right. And so you're
Okay.
going to be like enjoying yourself. You're going to be having a good time. You're going to look good. Everyone's going to look good. The entire planet is going to look good. Well, also, like, you're going to feel good. I'd have to look, you'd have to look at your individual chart and just put Venus in it. And, that's something that's fun to do. We can do that sometime. Just look at the one planet, what's going on. And it'll activate, you'll have aspects in your rest of your chart. And also, let's have a look really quick. Let's see.
Sure.
That's another thing. So we look down here, you see we have Venus sextiling Uranus right there, right?
So do you want to share your screen again?
I'm sharing. I thought I was. Okay, let's go ahead and share. Let's share this one. Okay, do you see it?
So I don't see I see the words, but I don't see
Okay, good. So that's what we want to look at right here. Right here, I have Venus sextiling Uranus.
Okay.
Again, that's a Venus sextiles, or Venus and Jupiter's are flow. They're good angles. They're good aspects.
Nice.
Sextile Uranus, giving Uranus. So Uranus pushing against Saturn at that same time is going to, in the sign of Taurus, which is ruled by Venus, is very strong Venus energies, which is all really pleasant, nice, enjoyable. So it's kind of like an easy month. And there might be laziness, but I don't think so. Not with, I think, well, yeah, the sun is in Pisces, which is sort of low key, lazy, a little bit sleepy. But, we got all the planets direct, so we're going to be moving along in a relaxed, enjoy, pleasurable energy. And then we've got Jupiter trining the North Node, as Taurus is going to come in and conjunct that North Node. again, that's really strong. That is nice, good money hitting the North Node at the same time that Mars is possibly coming up and conjuncting it. That's people doing their higher callings and finding financial strength, plus Mercury trining, that's communication, that is ruled by the sign of Mercury rules Gemini. So we are looking at good communication, good planning, ideas that expand finances in the sign of Aquarius. Both these signs are in Aquarius. So that's technological advancements. Honestly, it is really a good one. The
Yeah, it
fact that the
sounds
sun,
like it.
I know, and the fact that the sun is in Pisces at 11 degrees at the beginning of the month, makes it very easy. But again, karma may show up. Pisces is the sign of karma. So there might be, whenever you have the sun in the 12th house or the sun in Pisces, we are slightly sensitive. Pisces is a very sensitive energy. So your feelings might get hurt easier.
So
And
if
so
you
it comes up.
so if you have your sun or your moon in Pisces, would you be feeling that even more? So,
Yes.
okay.
If your ascendant is in Pisces, you have the sun on your ascendant, so you'll be feeling very confident.
Okay.
But again, you be sensitive. You got to follow your light, not shadow aspect. Shadow aspect of Pisces is taking things personally, getting hurt,
Mm,
not setting boundaries, not knowing how to set boundaries, watery infusion with your relationships. But the positive aspect of Pisces would be connected to higher knowledge, in a daydream state, connected up to the higher realms, in a place of euphoria, peace,
right.
relaxing, connected to the divine, seeing the light, visions, channeling. So if you are Pisces, you're having a solar return. So that is a good period for you. But again, Pisces is an introspective energy. So you may feel confident and bold to go be by yourself for a while.
Right. And that
Um,
may be exactly what, he or she, depending on who it is, may need. They may need that time
right,
to to go within and maybe continue that time of being on their own, of
right.
introspection.
So now if I go to, let's just zoom in quick and see the middle of the month, 15th, 13th, 14th, 15th.
Still a lot
Um,
happening in the top of the chart. There's, a
yeah, look
lot
at
of
that.
action there.
Yep. Um, yes. So everything is on half the chart, wherever you are in the world would be like, if you are, because these houses change to your location. So like for you, maybe they're all down here, which might mean more inward. This is a more personal life. You might see all this movement more in your personal life. If you have Aquarius over your 5th, you may end up getting relationship shifting. So in the middle of the month, we do see some more squares. We do see the sun squaring. We have Saturn still squaring Uranus, but we have Venus squaring Juno. We won't get into Juno. Those are the only other things. But Saturn is sextiling Chiron. Chiron is going to show up. Where is Chiron? Chiron is wounding. There's no other planets conjuncting Chiron. So, but we do have a Chiron. This is good. Saturn sextiling Chiron. This is the wounding, pain, triggering issues being kind of smoothed out. This is nice. So if you have any issues with the law or city hall or trying to get permits or anything like that, and it scares you and you're freaked out by their power, they're going to be nice to you. This is nice.
Oh, that's delightful.
Yeah, and then we've got this Mars trining Saturn. This is positive, masculine, working ego in alignment, working with Saturn. So with the rules, following the rules in a flow, Sun conjuncting Venus, this is in combust. So Venus in all her pleasure might be blasted out by the sun for a while there, for a few days.
Okay. In the middle of the month.
Yeah, which you could get sick. If you have Venus in your 6th house, you could get sick. This is healthy. People could get sick. You do want to get a lot of vitamin D, watch your health when Venus is combust. Venus is health as well, I think. So you do want to watch your health then. And then Venus conjunct Neptune. Ooh, this is going to be a very soulmate connection, romantic soulmate, higher dimensional, high of love, pink bubble period. So that's just kind of going through mid-month. But Saturn is squaring Uranus. It's sort of an aspecting here, but not too, it's happening. It's pretty much happening the whole year. So there's
Okay.
always going to be bumps in the road here. But other than that, it's a nice month.
Yeah. Now, what about, let's maybe just kind of fast forward towards the end of the month and just take a look to see if anything shifts
Sure.
or changes, and to kind of see what the foundation will be for the
Right.
following month.
For April, we'll get to there. April, let's do 28th.
Perfect.
Even better. Saturn is trining the North Node. Sun is conjuncting Chiron. This might be a challenge for everybody. This is going to be a toughie. Plus, we've got Venus conjuncting Chiron. So right here is a biggie. That's going to be romantic, triggering, sun shining light on your woundings, while romantic relationships might trigger you, or finance security might trigger you, or you, for instance, could look really unattractive that day and it triggers your self-love. Basically, all things Venus conjuncting, meshing with the energy of your wounding. So hopefully you are over this now, and it comes up and you respond differently and you go, it's not about me, I'm beautiful on the inside today.
Which is a beautiful message any day.
Right. And plus at that time, Venus is still combust, actually. I wonder why it seems so long that the sun is conjuncting Venus for. So again, why is it still combust? Wait, Venus is at 8 degrees Aries, and the sun is at 8 degrees Aries. Wow, so it goes combust again for a little bit, but it only stays combust because the sun moves very quickly. So the sun moves a degree a day. So that's a 6-day period. Again, we're going combust again. That's kind of, so Venus is weakened a little bit there, but just that happens in astrology a lot when you're on orbit and we get through it. But just watch triggers. Just know if you get triggered during that period, you're clearing old wounding, old karma. That is not to do with the person who's doing it. It's stored in your psyche, in your pain body. So that may come up for clearing, because let's just quickly take a look at April. If we get those kinds of Chiron hits, you're usually, let's see what April looks like. Wow. Again, Venus is combust. Venus be so combust for so long. Venus is moving. It's because Venus is moving along with it. So
that's just going to ensure that you really are clearing out what you're meant to clear out.
Your triggers, your trigger issues,
Yeah.
You're always clearing these out. That's what the astrology is always kind of showing us, we're really clearing our attachment fears. And every time we become bolder and we love ourselves more, we raise our frequency and we attract more abundance, basically, is what the message of Aquarius is. And the more we do that, the more we see our own divinity, how intended we were, what a plan we were, but these energies for March, we still have Saturn square Uranus, of course, that goes on pretty much all year, and Chiron squaring the ascendant. That's not a biggie, but so basically things are good. We're going forward financially, but we may be triggered as we go, because there's always got to be something to work on. We don't get to just, sit in sometimes we do, but on the whole, we're supposed to keep moving,
Well, and so, I mean, so it does seem like March is a whole lot later than February was.
Yeah, I think
And
so, because March seems like we're just out of the woods, out of a sort of heavier energy. The energies are much more fluid. We're moving. And we don't see many Chiron hits in March, so there's not a lot of wounding, karma clearing. It's almost like we are being given like a respite um, to take a pause in a way. And, I mean, we're moving, but we're kind of pausing now, but we're moving in a nice way, as it were.
well,
You
and it
know, we're
feels like
out of the
it's like
sleepy zone. Yeah, go ahead.
it's like an integration of all that we've learned over these past couple of months, that now we can implement the knowledge that we have and maybe take some action in our lives in whatever way that shows up. It sounds like
Right.
there's some financial pieces to that. There's some living your dreams pieces to that. There's maybe a little bit more introspection to get clarity on what action to take. And this is
Yeah.
the time. This is
Yes.
the time to
Right.
do it. And it could be financial, it could be career oriented, or based on relationships. And like you said, some of those pieces that come up.
It feels to me like March, you're going to kind of get carried, because Pisces is the sun is in Pisces. The sun in Pisces and Venus in Pisces is the surrender. It's it's that water energy. Just let the tide pull you the right way. Just
Yeah.
surrender. But I feel like you're going to see the boat is moving. Like you're going to see you can surrender. You're safe. And the world is outside of us is going to start kind of clearing that karma. Like there's other karma in the universe clearing, like the outer karma, but we've really done a lot of work on ourselves now, so we're going to kind of enjoy a little bit of a floating experience.
Very similar to the energy of the most recent full moon, talking about like really just allowing abundance to flow to
Yeah.
us, going with the flow and allowing it to come our way without the striving and working so hard. It's that getting in alignment within ourselves and allowing the abundance to flow when we are in alignment with
Yeah.
ourselves.
Right. And that surrender energy was when we're clearing all that karma, we're going through hard times and things are blocked, which they were for February, because it was a very slow month for a lot of people. It's that period where you forced to surrender. You have, if the universe doesn't pull it out of our control grip, it forces it out of our control grip and we surrender. And then when we surrender, the universe goes this way.
So much easier. So much
Yeah,
easier. We make it so much harder than it needs to be. I think we're all
right.
guilty of that at one time or another.
Yeah,
I
well,
feel like we did a pretty good summary of March.
okay.
When it comes to the new moon and the full moon, Madelaine and I are gonna be doing IG lives next month, or I'm
Right.
sorry, this month, about the new moon and the full moon when they come up. And so please
Like
join
the full,
us.
yeah,
Please
full
join
moon.
us for those. You will be doing them a couple of days before the new moon and full moon. There's a 3-day orb around each one of those. And so it's, usually the day before, the day of, and the day after is time to do your own work, do your own inner work. And so we'll touch in with you guys a couple days before. So, usually about 2 days, maybe sometimes 3, depending on our schedules, to give you a sense of what's coming and what's happening. So Madelaine just pulled out a card, but I don't know what that was in relation to what we were saying.
Well, I wanted a message for the whole month of March. So that's victory. Victory.
Oh, nice. So what is that? That's the
Six of Wands.
6 of Wands.
Right.
Victory.
So
All right.
I would say we're at the apex of the struggle. Woo!
Oh, that's wonderful. Yes.
I think
Bring
we're going to
on.
see things. I think March is going to be a very uplifting period for everybody. A much needed experience of relief.
Oh,
I
yes.
know.
Just sigh. All right. Well, Madelaine, thank you again so much for being here today. And you are quite welcome. And if any of the Soulful Sessions listeners would like to find you, Madelaine, tell them where they can do that.
Yeah, I have an Instagram feed called House of Spirit, Madelaine Parker. I have a soul level YouTube. House of Spirit, Madelaine Parker. Soul Levels is my website. Facebook is Soul Levels.
All right.
Madelaine Parker 111 at gmail.com if you want to read.
Awesome. And that will be in the show notes, of course. I am Amalia Natalia with Karmic Kindness. You can find me on almost all social media platforms with the username Karmic Kindness. And you can learn more about me and what I offer at karmickindness.com. So Madelaine and I are going to bid you farewell for this latest cosmic forecast, and hope to see you here on the next episode of Soulful Sessions. Thanks for joining us.